little girl of yours? You know you're not supposed to be in town with her.
She needs help.
Well, I'll see to it Doc Steelbender comes take a look at her.
Tell me, what's it like to be a doctor who can't save a life?
I'll let you know next time you find yourself sick.
I need to get her to Preacher Ross. He gonna save her.
Some preacher hocus pocus ain't gonna make a damn bit of difference.
You don't believe in the devil, Doctor?
Tall tales and fictions. Excuse us. We're looking for some water.
Well, now, that's something we have plenty of.
They were after you, girl.
Why would they be after her?
This child carries in her all that is wicked.
We gotta go. He took her. He took her.
I shall release her through the righteous power of these hands.
No!
I understand trying all you can to save what's yours.
Ain't no running from it, is it?
There is such evil in this world.
Not particularly one for evil.
Well, what if you're wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm so happy to have with me here the director of a brand new film that's coming out real soon here, Killing Faith, Mr. Ned Crowley. Hello, Ned.
Hello. William,
Now-
do you prefer William or Bill, first of all?
Well, William, because Bill's for old guys.
Yes.
Let's start with that. Bill is for old guys. I'm not that old yet, man.
No, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Not yet. I still got all my hair, which is a rare
Yeah, I'm
feat.
working on that.
Hey, it's looking good, man. It's looking good. Let's talk about this movie because this is
Yeah.
your second feature. Is that right? After Middleman?
It's my second feature I've both written and directed. I wrote another feature a few years back for a friend director of mine, but yeah, this is number 2.
Nice. And this time you got some big guns here in the cast. How did you come about getting Guy Pearce, DeWanda Wise, Bill Pullman, Jack Alcott? There's some big guns. How did you come up with this cast?
Just amazing. You know what? I was very humbled by it. We first and foremost got to Guy, and I was just casting Annette. He was the first person I was like, I would love him because he can play that line. He can play broken characters and emotional characters so well, just with a little bit of wit. He came back and said, I love the script. We talked for a couple hours, really just about his music and music in general. And then he was like, I'd love to do this. And then DeWanda popped in next. We were looking for somebody who was really strong and really had that emotional quality, but wasn't some damsel in distress kind of thing, you know? And we had a few conversations, and she wrote a dissertation about her character for me. She wrote about 5 pages of what she thought, and I'm like, that's better than what I wrote, so let's go with that, you know? And then Bill was the last to come on board. As you know, some people can ebb and flow, and we had and Bill was also one of the first folks I went to, and he passed a long time ago. I had no idea why, and we ended up going back to him, and I thought it was almost a wasted effort. And then he said, I'm in, and I love it. And I was like, what happened? And he was like, oh, I never got to it because he was in the middle of like the final season of The Sinner or something, and so you never really know. They rescued it. Jack read the script. He's like, I never auditioned, but I really wanted this part, and I loved it. And he's really the heart of the film. He's the heart and the humor, brings the humor to the film.
Every little thing he says, I was dying because like he's just saying nonsense some of the times.
He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy, you know?
The whole thing about Antarctica, I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? This is great. Now, there are clear Western influences. There's some Westerns you've seen in your life that you've influenced. And the biggest one for me, given the opening and closing scene, was The Searchers.
Yes. Yep.
Am I
Yep.
wrong here?
No, you're not wrong there. And I try to there's a little bit of dabble of things in here that I've always been influenced by. The Searchers were really going, the opening closing are right out of the ending of that film. There's a little bit of Shining in here. There's a little bit of Cormac McCarthy, people have said, because there's a very sort of Blood Meridian vibe to it.
Oh,
It's been nice. I've been, and I really, and I've really taken by the Coen brothers and what they've done with the Western genre and beautiful film. And so there's a little bit of all that in there, but Searchers is right up there. You're right.
uh, the second I saw the opening and then the closing, especially, I was like, he really went there. He went full Ford. Okay, yeah.
Well, you gotta love your heroes, and I like to think of them as homages.
No,
I don't
it was
I,
great.
I don't make Marvel movies, so I can't plant Easter eggs, so I have to do homages.
No, I think the homage was great. I mean, I picked up on it easily, and
Yeah.
I actually see a little bit of Bone Tomahawk too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Somebody else said that only because I think Bone Tomahawk really, I mean, they really went for horror and monster kind of mashup. I wanted to have a little bit more of a dreadful undercurrent where you're not really sure what's going on. I wanted to kind of ground it in reality, which is what those actors did well. I mean, I think DeWanda's instincts and Guy's instincts, they're wonderful. I mean, Guy looks like a broken human being. DeWanda's so determined, but they anchor the film and allow some of the other fun characters to be a little larger than life. And I think they did that beautifully. It was very lucky.
I would agree. I haven't seen such good dehydrated acting since Guy Pearce in The Rover.
And he's fantastic in that movie. But yeah, I mean, people come out and they go, God, I feel like I need a drink after that movie because you could feel the heat and the sweat. And we really, when we were shooting, we were like, hey, you're not dirty enough. Drop down, just roll around for a little bit in the dirt.
See, you got to appreciate that because the Wild West is not a clean place. It's
No,
very
no.
dusty. It's very dirty.
No, and I hate westerns where everybody's in their beautiful, clean clothes and their fingernails are perfect and their hair is coiffed. And I was like, we're not doing
Yeah, poor Bender. His right arm is just like not ever going to be the same again.
that. I know.
Poor guy.
I'm sorry.
That poor guy. Now, when you're putting this together, when you're writing this, and you're looking at it, and you're looking at this as a story, what's going through your head?
Well, in my last film too, it was more of a dark comedy, but I really loved, look, I love a movie. If somebody talks for 10 seconds out of a movie and has something to exchange about, that's what I like. And I don't like confusing the audience, but leaving a little ambiguity. So I really loved this notion of sort of wrestling with the nature of good and evil, and that's a tried and true. But I thought it was sort of timely now because in the movie, you're really looking at people who are looking for somebody to blame for all the evils and the horror of the world, and they've sick. It's sort of a story about the other, where we're looking for somebody. It's not me that has caused all this stuff. It's somebody else, and they all hone in on this little girl with this little story. And I try to tread the line about you've seen. So is she or isn't she? And it's a little bit up to the audience. Is that a hallucination? Is that real? Is what's going on? So I really wanted, that was what was going through my head, is to tread that line, to try and bring treat the audience with some intelligence and bring them into it, because I often find that audiences, I know what I'm saying, but I think audiences bring so much to it if they're engaged.
I think you're spot on there. I like the intelligence of the conversation of good hand, bad hand. If we're going to quote some classic cinema, not of the hunter. That's what we get here. We get the classic tale of good hand, bad hand, and one of the things that I thought was very interesting is that there's clearly, like I said, there are some horror elements. They're not
Yep.
supernatural horror, but there's some horror elements, particularly in the desert, when they happen upon certain situations, which are horrific.
Are you well, yes, I mean Bender certainly stumbles across some horror up on the butte. I wanted that centerpiece scene with Joanna Cassidy to just be, I mean, that's sort of I mean, I am very fond of obviously the late David Lynch, and I really loved something that could be so strange and yet completely makes sense. And as much as I like the visuals and the action and stuff, the notion of just two people talking, or in this case, six people talking, just really, I sit back and love that stuff.
I love it. I have only one more question before I let you go, and it's a
Sure.
question I ask every guest. It's also the hardest one. What two movies would you watch for the rest of your life, and why, if you only had two?
I'll give you one.
That's
And
fine.
it's I or maybe I watched this twice. I and it's you know what, and it kind of ticks me off because it's so much in fashion right now because it's 50 years. But I was really taken by the movie Jaws in 1975, and part of what I love about that is the story. I wish I could meet Steven because I love the fact that I think it probably started as a monster movie and became a story about these men on this journey because he didn't have access to what
The
he
shark.
had. And I find when I'm making movies, there's usually some disaster that points you in a direction that you weren't planning on, and you're able to make something great out of it. So that had such an impact on me, and I just saw it again in the theater about 2 weeks ago for the anniversary.
So it's funny. We just did our podcast last night, and our subject this month was it was our 50th episode. So we did movies turning 50. So we just had an at-length discussion about Jaws last night.
All right,
That scene,
I'll come back and talk about it because I could talk about that movie forever.
that scene in the US where he talks about the USS Indianapolis is one of the best monologues in movie history. I'll stand on that.
All right, and I'm going to leave you one last thought. If you go back to the pioneer scene that we were just talking about, and
Yeah,
Maggie Joanna Cassidy's monologue, I drop a little something in there about black eyes like a doll's eyes, and
I heard that.
and that's because I am so in love with that one monologue, and I'm like in the middle of her monologue. I gotta drop that in.
Oh,
Just so good. And
I love
every
it.
writer in Hollywood lays claim to have written that monologue for Mr. Robert
Of
Shaw.
course they have. Now, why should I'm going to let you go, but before I do, why should people check out your movie Killing Faith when it comes out?
Because I think if you like Western, you know what? I shouldn't say if you like Westerns. I'm not Mr. Western freak. I think I set out to make a movie that I would like. I don't see enough movies that make me think or are a little bit of, aren't, I don't like movies that are just dark. I want them to tell a story. And so I don't think there's another movie out there quite like this. There's been a lot of Westerns hitting the thing, but this is a very different kind of story. And I think it's worth checking out. And I hope people do. It opens this Friday.
I agree with you. It does open this Friday. That's October 3rd.
Yes.
They should definitely check it out October 3rd when it comes out. Thank you so much for being with me, Ned. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, William.